how in the hell do taxes actually work anyways? Sure, I understand the whole a portion of your income is withdrawn from your paycheck every week to fund the government and pave roads and fund Social Security and blah, 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 blah. I get all that, right? But like most of us, I still don't truly understand how the hell it all works in the first place. How do they determine tax rates? How do you claim exemptions? And how in the world do you itemize your deductions? And more importantly, what in the world does that even mean in the first place? In much the same way, plenty of people know what a shock is, but how many guys can actually say that they can explain what a shock does? I'm Dustin, dusty.co on Instagram if that's your fancy, and today we're gonna be sitting down to smooth out the bumps and find out why shocks actually matter. Now, as we get into the bones of this one, if you're looking to build your truck, then you probably need a lift kit, and with that lift kit, you're gonna get shocks. And if you need a lift kit with shocks, you can check us out at customoffsets.com. Not only do we have lift kits from some of your absolute favorite brands like BDS or Rough Country and some other guys, we also have them in stock and ready to ship to you in just a few days. And if you're looking forward to the show season this year, but maybe your wallet is feeling a little light these days, no sweat. With as low as 0% financing, you can have your truck ready for show season and build your credit score to boot. If you've ever shopped for a lift kit, then you probably have already made a choice when it comes to shocks. Typically speaking though, unless you're a seasoned expert when it comes to the anatomical anatomy of a shock, chances are you probably just picked the shock that you felt the most comfortable with. Or if you're like some guys that work here, you maybe just pick the shock that looks the best because, let's face it, color matching your suspension to the rest of your build is, well, it's actually kind of important when you build a truck, right? You want to make sure it looks good. But what exactly is a shock and why the hell do they matter in the first place? Why are we even here? A shock absorber, or a shock for short, is this neat little metal tube looking doodad thingamajob that sits inside of your truck's suspension. Typically speaking, you're gonna find these on all four corners of your truck, and depending on the type of shock you have, they can look a little bit different case by case, whether you're talking a monotube or a dual tube type setup. Believe it or not, shocks don't actually support the weight of your truck though, contrary to popular belief. In fact, it's actually quite the opposite. Shocks work by converting the movement of your truck's suspension, otherwise known as kinetic energy, and they convert that into heat energy. This heat energy is then gonna be dissipated into the air, much like your Jack's Pizza cools down after you take it out of the old brick metal pizza oven that every shop has. Now, as your shock does this, it's essentially working as a big liquid pump. As your truck goes down the road, the suspension of the truck is going to move up and down, pushing the piston of the shock into the main tube or the inner tube into the outer tube, depending on what type of shock you have. Inside of this tube, this piston is going to plunge oil through the inside of the shock through these little holes called orifices. Because these orifices are so small, they actually create resistance on the fluid and ultimately on the shock piston, which is going to cause the piston to take out some of that movement of the vehicle springs as you go over the bumps. Fundamentally speaking, shocks work by smoothing out the ride of your vehicle. Not only is this important for keeping your truck planted going down the highway, but it also means that you're going to have a much smoother ride to boot. Additionally, the faster the truck's suspension is moving, right, the faster it's bouncing up and down, the more pressure that this fluid in the shock body is going to have, ultimately smoothing that ride out. And all of this fancy talk really boils down to this. Shocks work by putting pressure on the truck's suspension, which leads you to not rattling out your dental fillings when you're mobbing down the highway with your buddies. In addition to smoothing out your ride, as we said previously, a good set of shocks are also going to keep you safe when you're on the pavement. The pressure that your shock is putting down from the fluid resistance inside of the tube is also pushing down on your lower control arm and thus pushing down on your wheel and tires. This resistance is going to keep your tire firmly planted on the ground, like a good handshake, of course, where you're going to find the maximum amount of tread contact to the pavement, which all really boils down to you just having traction when you need it, which is pretty much always, unless you're a guy like Vaughn Gittin Jr., for example, in which case, traction's pretty optional because you're here to do one thing and one thing only, and that is just slay tires. With all of that being said though, not all shocks are created equally, and when it comes to which shocks you should buy with your lift kit, there are a few things to keep in mind. As a general rule of thumb here, when it comes to shocks, you get what you pay for. While there are certainly some really good options out there that are more budget-minded or budget-friendly, as we would say, shocks are one of those things that you just don't want to cheap out on. Cutting corners here can lead to shorter than usual life from your shocks, a rough overall ride quality, and even worse, the possibility of you blowing a shock out, which is straight up not a good time, bro. Typically speaking here, higher quality shocks are gonna feature better internal valving, they're gonna have better bushing ends, and overall just have a much higher quality of build materials, meaning that it's gonna hold up against any of the abuse that you might throw at it, you know, like if you're a Raptor guy and you wanna jump your truck. Take a BDS lift kit, for example. When you look at a BDS lift kit, you're gonna see that they have a few shock options. Now, coilovers aside, included in the base kit is gonna be the NX2 series shocks. These shocks are gonna be a great mix of a performance and a price point as they come with every BDS lift kit standard. The NX2s are a 2-inch diameter shock. They're charged with nitrogen and they're downright just ready to get dirty if that's what you're looking to do with your BDS lift kit. Plus, they qualify for their whole no fine print warranty, which it's pretty neat on a lift kit. But if you're looking to go with something a bit more premium, then you're in luck here. Enter the Fox Adventure Series 2.0 shocks. Let me tell you something. When it comes to shocks for your lift kit, these bad boys do not disappoint. I mean, after all, these are what I'm actually running on my LBZ, and they've been nothing short of fantastic. Fox actually builds these shocks for BDS in an exclusive partnership with them, and because of this, every set of Fox shocks that BDS sends out is actually built specifically for the application that they're being put on. Again, here we're talking a 2-inch shock, hence the 2.0 thing, right? And they're gonna come in this super bitchin' silver powder coat that's honestly one of the toughest finishes on the market. So to recap here, if you're looking for shocks that are just a great bang for your buck option, then the NX2s from BDS are probably a good choice for you. On the other hand, if you're looking for a solid ride quality paired with two of the most respected names in the industry, the Fox 2.0s are probably gonna be your choice. Which shock are you guys taking, and more importantly, why? Sound off down in the comments below, and if you need a lift kit or wheels and tires for your truck, check us out at customoffsets.com. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.